In this episode, I'm going to try and recreate this map layout that I worked on a couple of days ago. And during the process, I can hopefully supply you with some hints and tips on how to make nicer maps, simply. So stick around. Also, this is an excuse for me to try a new setup. I have moved my YouTube studio, so to say, and it's not really there yet. I have some echoes I need to work on, but anyway, to start with, I'm going to start from the beginning, so I will not use this layer. I will use the raw data, and this is simply statistical data from National Service for Statistics. So let's start with the first tip, and that is statistical data. When you work on that, you need to be careful so you don't lie unnecessarily. In my opinion, whenever you work with statistical data, you will lie unwillingly, but there will be lies from certain perspectives. So you need to address that yourself and try to be as truthful as you can with the data. So for instance, this data, it's monetary, it's per person, but I will show it in a geography context where some regions are quite a bit larger than others, and some extremely small regions have a lot of persons in them. So bear that in mind and be careful what you and how you portray your data. In this case, I will use a graduated layer style. I will start by selecting my net income data. But before I add any classes, I will look at the histogram. So let's load the values. And here I can see that there's a lot of data around 300. But there are some outliers at 1100, 650, and so on. So I need to address that. But I will start by just classify and see what we land on. I will change my symbology. I do not want the outlines, so remove the outline. Also, I don't want this color ramp, so let's create a new color ramp. I'm using Catalog CPT City, and for this I want something that is diverging, and this vox pop is, to me at least, pleasing to the eye. And since the smaller numbers are blue here and the higher numbers red, in my mind, if you have high income, you are not in the red. If you have low income, you are in the red. So I will invert this color ramp to reflect that opinion of mine. So we have 5 classes. Let's increase it to 7. And equal count. If we look at natural breaks, it's useless, more or less. So I will stay with equal count. But I will look at the histogram and see that everything up here is 1 count. And I will add breakpoints by just clicking in the histogram. So for instance, at 500,000 roughly, and at 750, I will add value classes. So if I switch back to the classes, it hasn't shown up yet, but if I add one and remove one, they will be added. And now I can change the value so they are really exact. So say 500 to 750, like that. I will also use this field here. It says precision. And if I increase it, the number of decimals will increase. If I decrease it, it will be divided by 10 in this case. So that makes the legend nicer. And I know that these values are in 1,000 Swedish crowns. So the shortcut for that is TKR, 1,000 crowns. So that will look a little bit more, well, maybe you can say nice. Also, high income should be at the top. I'm not sure if I can reverse. Yes, I can reverse the values like that. So high income should be at the top. It's just an aesthetic thing. I will probably get back to this map later to make it a bit more visible. Since I removed the outlines, I can use draw effects and add a drop shadow. I don't need it to be very obvious, just very slight. So maybe like that. I can tweak that later. Then we start with a layout, and I will use a format A4 page format. You can use letter or a custom format if you want. I will name my layout as A4 portrait, so it is easier to find, unless I name my previous A4 portrait. So I will name this income. So right click, page properties, portrait, like so. Okay, to start with, I will just add a map, and I'll just add it over the entire page. Doesn't really matter. Switch to content mode with the letter C on the keyboard, or pressing this button, move item content. Now I can move the content of the map, and I can scroll and zoom as I would in the normal layout. So something like that looks fine. Switch back to the layout mode, and that's the shortcut V on the keyboard, and this button. In order for this to stay where it is, and I'm satisfied with it for now, I will just lock this item. Now, instead of just adding stuff to the map, I will start by collecting items to the map. And to do that, I not necessarily place it inside the layout. So for instance, a title is nice. Place it here. And we will call that net income. I will mix English and Swedish in this tutorial. And I don't care so much for what font it is right now. I will decide on that later. So I will just make a title. I will name it title. I want a frame around this map. So let's add a rectangle. Doesn't need to be exactly the same right size. And the style should be just a simple outline. I will add a radius to this. Like that, perhaps. I'm not too concerned about any other aspects of it right now. I want data on my data, and I've prepared some information here. It will be in Swedish, but you can create any text information that you like. It should reflect the data you are using. So I will add some text boxes. The source should obviously be included, and depending on the data, there may be restrictions on how you are allowed to use it. So check that carefully. This data is Creative Commons BY, so I need to show the source for this data. I want to include my information. It is created by me. I do need a legend. I'll work on that later as well. Remove the background. I don't need that. Some graphics, perhaps. So, a picture, a raster image. I think I will embed a file. Like that. Depending on what you are adding, you may want to make it easy to have a coherent appearance. So one of those things that you should consider is colors. And in this case, I have this color ramp, but I could pick a few patches that are simpler to use. So just add a rectangle and pick the colors. And here I will also copy the color and add a text with that color value, like that. You can do this with the key colors that you may want to use in your layout. In my case, I will stick to black, I think. I will not use these colors in my my layout elements otherwise. But for instance, if I added a north arrow like this, I may have want to stroke color, use the same color as I have been using inside the map. Anyway, Another thing that should be coherent are fonts. So now when I add my text, they all have the same default font, and you can set that in your QGIS settings. For layouts here, you can set a default font here. So I've used a font that is, well, I like it. It's clean and simple. And I will use that font for this layout. But you may want to use another case or style for the font, depending on if it is a title or otherwise. In this case, I may want to use the regular font, perhaps a bit bigger. I want some letter spacing, and like that. This one, I want a little bit bigger. This should be maybe regular as well. This should be regular. And this can be light. The source should maybe be italic, light italic. As could this be? Let's try that. Okay, and my legend, I want to change this title. It's average income. Average income. I want to work with the patches here. So they are not single islands. I want to connect them together. So let's look at the spacing. Legend items. Turn that to 0. And I want to increase the size of the patches. Symbol height. Subgroup font should be regular. And the item font should be light and a bit smaller. And perhaps increase the distance. There we go. And the patch may be a bit bigger. So place it here for now. And oh right, I have forgotten. I need my tables. But I will place the items roughly where I want them. Here you see the disadvantages of not naming your items. So this is the neat line. I will lock that in place. Okay, can go back to that later. Let's add a table. So add attribute table. I really don't need everything here. I only need the kommunenamn, or a municipality name, and the net income total here. So let's go to attributes, remove that, remove those, remove all of that, remove that, and the heading Swedish for municipality. Let's just say income. Let's test that. Whoop. I want the columns to be a bit wider. So let's say 25 millimeters for that one and 20 for that one. A bit better. I want to sort it by income total. Yeah, let's do ascending. No, let's do descending. I don't want more than 10 rows. And I do not need the grid. And I don't need any so maybe a bit tighter. Cell margin. Display header, first frame, yes. Empty tables, matching background, color, like so. Let's see if we can do something about this. Attributes, income. That's a nice letter here. So instead of this, I can do format number and use the number. And let's see, format number, places, trim trailing zeros, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can just round this value. It isn't really that critical. And I want to add a text, TKR. Let's see what that does. That looks a bit nicer. Like so. That's the top municipalities. So how do we do the bottom ones, or bottom, the lower income municipalities? Well, I duplicate this, copy it here, since I want the same width and style for it. So I now go into the attributes, and I could do this ascending and I get the lowest one. But as you see, they come in this order, 256, 262, so they increase down. I want them to be the highest here and the lowest below, and then make a symbol here that shows that I've cut out everything between, so the top 10 and the lower 10. So I can't sort ascending, I need to sort descending. So I need to do something else. Fields. Income less than filter 2, 7, 2. Nope, 271. So now the order is, and I can remove the title here. No header. Actually, I don't think I need a header here either. Yeah, that looks quite okay. So, like that. And to make it a bit more clear that there's a gap here, I could add a line, a polyline. So just click, hold shift, click, and right click to close it. And that one should be a simple line and really thin. And it's a bit long. So change the width. It's a bit hard to change the size when it's a horizontal line or a vertical line. So it's easier to change the width in the position and size. If you want to move everything without using the mouse, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. And if these steps are too aggressive, you can just hold down, I think it was Alt, then the steps will be much smaller. And if you hold down Shift, it will be a step up. I wonder what Control does. Nothing. So Shift and Alt to increase or decrease. Okay, and now you just need to work with the layout, move things around until you are satisfied, place them in the correct order, and so on. I'm not done yet, quite. Yeah, I think I can work with that. And okay, so the last step, which requires me to go back to the map, is to highlight the top and the bottom, so to say, municipalities in the list. Where are they? You may know, but it could be helpful to do that. So let's switch back to the map and go to labels. So make a single label for the municipality name, and we should filter that on the top ones above let's pick the top 5. So above 510 and below 2065. 510, 2065. So an expression for that. If the total income bigger than 510 or net income less than, was it 265? Then kommunen, else nothing. Let's try that. Let's use the label toolbar and show unplaced labels. Now I need, I don't want Open Sans, I want the same font as others. And it should be a light one. Do not have to be very big. Let's see what it looks like here. It's probably fine. Maybe a bit smaller. To make it more clear, let's see, how big are they? Try to match the size of the map and the size of the text here. It's a bit easier to work with. I want to use callouts. It should be a simple line, but not that thick, a really thin one. And now I can move my labels. So, yep, move that one there, that one there. Let's change the anchoring point. So closest point, make it centroid. And I don't want it to start inside, so let's offset it from the label area. Switch back to the layout and update that. Yep, you get the point. So now some of the relevant names are pointed out in the map as well. And the average income legend is changed. I have my own reference for the creator of the map. I have a title, some information about the statistical data here, the source of the data, and a nice neat line. And I don't have to be afraid of negative space. So white areas in the map is quite okay. So I'm quite satisfied with this result. So now I can just clean things up, save my project, and export my map to an image or SVG or as a PDF. I have had not that great luck exporting at SVG. So if you want to continue to do some touch-ups in another software, I would recommend PDF. So let me just call this income map A4 PDF, and it's in my pictures folder. The defaults are okay. Let's open up. Ooh, what happened? Did I crash QGIS? Yes, I did. Hopefully it managed to export my map. So open my pictures folder, income map. No, it did not manage to save it. I do have a previously saved was it this one? Yes. It's not quite the same, but you get the point. In Inkscape, it reads PDFs really good. So text is not imported as text. It is, oops, it is paths. So you can't edit text in Inkscape. But you can do, for instance, you know, the lines I made earlier. In Inkscape, you can draw Bezier curves. So, for instance, if I want to draw a line from Danderyd to, it's probably around here somewhere, with a Bezier curve, it's quite possible to do that in Inkscape. And then you can use the tools in Inkscape to finish everything. Like that. So Bezier curves is unfortunately not yet available in QGIS layout. It would be really nice to have it for some applications, but it's really simple to export your layout to PDF and do the last tweaks in a software like Inkscape. You can even change colors for some of the polygons. So let's make that one red, for instance. So it's really simple to make tweaks in a PDF in a software package like Inkscape. I'm not sure you can do the same in Adobe Illustrator, but I suppose so. So with that, I think that is all for this time. And hopefully you have had some use of the information here. And I'll see you next time.